Everyone has their fears, right? Whether they're rational or irrational, like afraid of the dark or afraid of spiders or snakes. But mine has always been dolls. Not all dolls like Barbies or baby dolls. Mainly just the ones that are a bit too human. I think it's mainly the eyes that get to me. So I'm sure you can imagine how excited I was to find out that I was the inheritor of my very own clown doll. It was a gift from my great aunt. I'd met her maybe once or twice in my life, so why she left this of all things was beyond me. This doll was something straight from my nightmares. I mean, a doll was bad enough alone with his eyes, but then you throw a clown element as well. The doll's glass-like face was painted white with red accents and markings over the eyes, mouth, and cheeks. The eyes itself, however, were nothing but a black void. It has thick white hair jutting out of the sides and a round hat that almost resembles a cherry on top. Its outfit is essentially your typical clown attire. Like the face, it was a mixture of red and white. This doll is about the size of a toddler. In other words, way too big for me to feel comfortable anywhere near it. I would have given away on eBay a couple bucks, but out of the respect of my grandmother, I kept it. So naturally, it's new to my home would be the closest. I thought that would be it. And my life would go on as it always had. Waking up, going to work, going back to sleep. Unfortunately for me, that would not be the case. I'm not exactly a tidy person, so my clothes rarely made it back into my closet. As a result, I did not have to see my clown friend for quite a while. It was a few weeks later before I finally went to my closet in the quest of a clean pair of jeans. How rare is that? There he was, sitting on the floor in front of the dresser. I assumed he must have fallen off the dresser somehow because I clearly remembered setting him up there. Those empty black eyes were too much for me. I grabbed my jeans quickly and left without bothering to put him back on top. I spent the rest of the day thinking about how that doll could have fallen off the dresser. So as a curious person, I decided to check out the closet when I returned home. The doll was there, of course, but it was back to its original position atop the dresser. I approached it and looked into those empty eyes. Nothing. As much as it creeps me out, it was just a doll, right? I must have imagined seeing it on the floor. I live alone, of course, so there's no way anyone could have just been moving around to prank me. Regardless, I decided to stay clear of the closet as much as I physically could be possible. A couple nights later, I was awoken to the sound of what seemed to be laughter. And it appeared to be coming from the closet. It, of course, was very faint, which is why I was a bit surprised it woke me. Generally, I'm a heavy sleeper. For something like this to wake me was quite odd. The last thing I wanted to do was go into that closet, so I decided to attempt to wait it out. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud thump, and then the laughter stopped. After turning on every light possible, arming myself with a kitchen knife, I decided it was time to check out the closet. Slowly, I opened the door, and it was completely normal. Absolutely nothing was out of place. Even the doll was sat upon his normal spot on top of the dresser. I picked up the doll and felt around it to see if there's any sort of speech box, but there wasn't. With a loud sigh, I set the clown back and left my closet. Perhaps I was finally losing it. Over the next couple of days, I was on high alert. I began noticing small things here and there that had gone missing or were moved. Most noticeably, small bits of food I swear I hadn't eaten. I relentlessly searched every nook and cranny of my small home, looking for any possible signs of vermin, as in mice, rats, even bats, or other intruders. Anyway, that is, except my closet. At last, my searches turned upon nothing, further confirming my idea that I was in fact going insane. That was until a couple nights later, when the laughing returned, only this time it wasn't just faint. It was a booming cackle, as in a witch. The laugh seemed to reverberate through my whole house. I was petrified. I didn't dare move an inch from my bed. The laughing persisted. I began to hear loud banging noise coming from my closet, until suddenly its door swang open. A large, dark figure emerged and stormed out of my room. I heard it sprint through my house, opening my front door and leaving. As soon as it happened, the laughter stopped. After reminding myself to breathe, I was finally able to move from my bed. I approached the closet. What I found devastated me. My old dresser was no longer against the wall. Instead, it was now in the middle of my closet, where the dresser had been was a hole. A hole easily large enough for a human to fit behind, but small enough that you could never notice it was being covered up. Beside the hole was the doll, seated perfectly upright, one arm outstretched towards the hole. I didn't dare look in the hole. I was afraid what I might find. Instead, I grabbed the doll, locked myself in my car, and called 911. I didn't dare. The police later confirmed my suspicions of what happened. Someone had been living in my home. Inside the hole was a pallet where the person had been sleeping, as well as a small amount of trash. Worst of all, the person had been in a collection of pocket knives. They were probably not meant to be used as a weapon, but still not exactly comforting thinking about it. Since that night, my clown friend has not left the room. He has his own special perch on the table next to me. I'm still not a huge fan of dolls, but perhaps they're not so bad after all.